Hey there, AfterBuzzers. Welcome to the Magician's After Show sing-along episode. Maybe, just kidding. We have special guest Rizwan Manji, otherwise known as Pickwick, and we're going to talk about this crazy sing-along episode. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yes! Did any of you guys sing along?
No.
Did you
I did sing right the second time I watched it. I sung right at the end. Only
Yeah.
because there's a certain part of the song that I really like, but
Yeah.
no one will ever hear me sing it.
You watched it twice already.
Yeah. I watch it once and then I watch it again and be like, did I miss anything? So.
That's 2 more times than I had a chance to watch it because I was working.
It's totally cool.
Now I'm really scared that I'm going to miss something.
No, it's totally fine. Welcome to the Magician's After Show. Today we're talking about All That Josh, episode 9. And as you can see, we have special guest Rizwan Manji. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you.
My name's Kari Lane, and I'm also joined by my awesome host.
Hi guys, I'm tired. I'm Adrian Snow.
So this episode, we get our musical episode.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I'm gonna say, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna call it a musical episode because it's not
True.
like it's not like Once More with Feeling like Buffy or I'm blanking on every other type of musical episode. But so it was more of like, this is an episode where the actors occasionally are inclined to sing, and it's a part of like the character storyline, and that's cool because it just didn't feel like, it wasn't like all of a sudden, I don't know, usually when there's a musical.
Well, it's not like High School Musical where they burst out into song for no reason. It has a purpose in this.
Yeah, well, it's not like they're telling the story necessarily through the music.
yes.
Like, it's just like they do a number, and it wasn't something where music was written for this specific episode. It's music that's already like pop contemporary.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it was okay. I'm really nitpicky about musicals.
Sure.
So, that's why I'm going to be like, I'm just going to call it not a musical episode, but an episode with music in it.
Yes. No, that's a good way to frame it because
Yeah.
it isn't musical where like the song, like the style where someone looks off longingly and then they burst into song or something like that. It's all very functional. Like Glee goes between performance and the emotional random singing. I liked it. I don't think it was amazing song-wise, but I liked that they sounded like normal people singing. Like, definitely there were people that stood out, talent-wise of, like, vocal, and I'm no singer, but I'm not really gonna judge, but they just sounded like a regular person, and I felt that was more relatable. The song choices were pretty good. I don't think I was necessarily blown away, but loved Under Pressure at the end. Totally worked, and I was singing along. I'm watching it here at the studio, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just lip sync it here, but it really worked with how it's supposed to be the unity of everybody.
Did you find it in comparison to you might remember last season's episode, the Les Mis episode?
Yeah, that one I liked
really
more.
liked that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just one, and that one was not, I would say, the same because it was just one song.
Yeah.
And in a whole show.
Yeah.
Different from
Like
this one.
musicals, yeah. No, I really liked that one, and it made sense, and it was, it's all incorporated with magic, so it makes sense that they have to start singing.
Yes.
But I understood like what that song was doing and its intention, and I understood what Under Pressure was doing at the end. All the other songs, I was kind of like, okay. I mean,
But we got to hear Jade sing.
we did.
She was really good.
I have done burlesque dance in my past, and I was like, it would just be nice. I would be just as happy just having a burlesque show. Like, I think that's like fascinating as well. But that's me.
I enjoyed the burlesque of it. I was like, oh, fun.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't expecting that, but it works with her character.
Yeah, I just didn't understand that particular song usage. But that's also because I don't know that song. I assume.
Because even if you don't know a song, it's nice if it still grabs you. Because you can be like, oh, I've never heard this, but be like interested. But that song didn't do it for me. I'm bummed we didn't get to hear you sing.
I think I sang last season, and then they were like, maybe not again.
No.
Not at all. No.
As I was telling you, for whatever reason, for somebody who's not a singer, I've sang on 2 different shows. So, Maybe there's another show that I'll sing on as well.
You just never know when they're gonna hit you with that "Can you carry a tune?" question.
Yeah.
And you're like,
And the other, and in the other show, I sang a Whitney Houston song.
Wow.
Completely off key, I think. But anyway.
Was it I Want to Dance?
I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Yeah, that's the
in an
hardest
Indian
one.
accent. I sang I Want to Dance with Somebody in an Indian accent, and then I had to be off key.
Oh
It was
god.
great.
Why?
It was wonderful. Well, there was a line at the end where they mentioned how I was off key. So
Okay.
it was easy for me to be off key since I don't know what I'm doing anyway.
Yeah. I forget who's. We do have a live chat up, by the way. So if you are watching this live, feel free to join us in the chat. And if you're watching it later, please comment down below your thoughts on the episode. Now, I saw on Twitter, and I'm afraid I forget which magician's account did it, but if you had to start singing a song to, like, get these bad guys, you were able to catch the episode. So there's a part where they have to start singing to, like, get these bad guys away from them, essentially. Like, on the spot, what song would you start singing? What? Like, on Twitter, they go, okay, if you had to start singing a song, what would you do to make them stop? Because we get Alice going, "Happy Birthday," which is probably one of the easiest songs you could sing.
I guess my karaoke picks when I do karaoke are "Head Over Feet" by Alanis Morissette and "Baby Got Back" by Sir Mix-a-Lot. So that would be one of the two.
I would start singing a Bollywood song.
Yay! Which one?
And then really confused them.
No, I think that's awesome. Then I'm curious. I'm like, which one? I watch Bollywood.
You
so
do?
I'm like,
Okay.
I love
What's
Bollywood.
your favorite Bollywood song?
The newer one that came out on Vaj, the whistle one where he has the flute at the beginning, and anyway, this is a whole other discussion.
Well,
We'll have to sidebar this, guys. We'll
my
reach out on
daughter's
Twitter
favorite
later.
Bollywood song is "Desi Girl." Do you know that
Oh
song?
yeah, that one's great.
Come on.
Yes, that's classic. Mine, yeah. Someone on Twitter did that too. They're like, if you could sing any word to all songs, I'd be like, yeah, "Baby Got Back." I can sing that one, and "Bloodhound Gang."
Bad Touch.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can sing
Yep, that one. I'm like, because those aren't really singing too. It's more talking.
Oh, they're rap.
Yeah, so it's easier.
I'm not actually good. Those are the only two songs I can rap.
Yeah.
I can't.
Nas in the chat says, I was hoping that Quentin would start singing a Taylor Swift song randomly to distract. Pretty sure we learned that's a little over their budget because they talked about that at Comic-Con that they were like, nope.
Well, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Getting the rights to songs.
Yes.
And Taylor is
what you can use.
You're not.
She's very expensive.
Though I was thinking about how the songs were maybe not like super stunning, I enjoyed having so many dancers though. That earlier scene where there's like all them in the physical kids' house dancing, I was like, yay, dancing! So I was excited by that. But it's
the La La Land move. It's you cover up the fact that like the actors are like okay singers with really fascinating dancers.
Is it hairography though? Because then they're not really dancing well. That's the fake way when you're flipping the hair.
No, you get like
they were
professional
good dancers. Yeah, no.
Like La La Land, that opening act, I was like, oh, this is like a musical. And then I got into the movie, and I was like, is it though? Is it?
Yeah.
La La Land.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Like for all this hype though, at the beginning it starts kind of heavy because the end we have the mirror bridge destruction, and I wasn't here last week to talk about, but visual, and that was stunning.
Yeah.
And major downer. Do we really think Harriet and Victoria are dead, gone, like done?
I mean, according to Alice, yes, but you know, I'm sure there's things that she doesn't know. So, and it's essentially like a void, right? So you don't necessarily disappear in a void. You just can't get outside of it. So there's a possibility they're still there.
Yeah,
I think maybe.
That's kind of what I thought too, because I was like, maybe they're not. I do like that the book had the musical notes that they're medieval and Katie like showing Alice up of like, you're playing in the wrong key.
Yeah, with the. Yeah, I didn't know that. The. What? Oh my God, what's C key called? It's the major? No, the whatever. I can't.
I don't know. But that made more sense.
Oh, it doesn't start with C.
Yeah.
Or something. I can't think of
it made more sense though. Like hearing it, I'm like, I imagine more the deeper tone of the music because they start playing the piano and like they play it in A key and it's like high, and then Katie's like, no, it starts in C, and so it's like darn darn darn. And so I was like, yeah, that totally makes way more sense. What do we think Alice is? Do we really believe her motive for the library of like just filling in her knowledge? It just seems so sketch, and she just seems vague about telling Quentin what she was getting that I'm like, I'm suspicious.
I think we saw what she was kind of like. We didn't see her agree to work with the librarians, so we have an idea of what she's thinking about and how she wants to. Sorry, I'm really tired, so if I don't make any sense tonight, that she wants to basically find like the universal something of magic.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. This
It's
is
okay.
That's last episode, so
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
it's
gonna
fine.
say that I remember exactly what it was. But I think he's right to be distrustful because she has yet to prove herself to be trustworthy.
Yeah.
But
Prinzer in the chat says we don't trust her. Yeah. Grand Unified Theory of Magic.
Grand Unified.
Thank you. So then, though, we have music. Oh, the crazy world. Did you figure out what it was early on, like, or did you have any suspicions on what this? So they get transported magically, sort of, and then we get all the musical numbers with Josh and Todd, who I was super, like, don't trust Todd as soon as like he was doing
It wasn't Todd.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like he was too confident to actually be the real Todd. Because the real Todd's always kind of like you've
A little more awkward.
like having sex with the Mark
Gollum.
Golem
Yeah.
and not really,
Yes.
doesn't know how to keep a secret. So that guy was like, and kudos to the actor who plays Todd because you could tell just by his physicality that he was not actually Todd.
I think he did a great job then because I immediately was like, ooh, you're different.
Yeah, it seems like a pocket universe. I've been watching probably too much Flash lately, but that's what I was kind of getting. I was like, oh, okay, so they can't figure out because Alice is trying to figure out where they were. I was like, they don't seem to have an idea of where they stand in like time and space, so they're probably something that exists outside.
Yeah.
And whoever's impersonating Todd is probably in charge of it.
Yeah. I kind of was like, oh, it's kind of like the Bacchus party, but everything seems off. Like it was creepy. You know, like the Bacchus party was fun, and immediately you're like, this is great, but Todd and Josh's party, I'm like, something's weird. And those creepy people.
Well, it was a little too happy.
Yeah.
You know, there's, I don't know. Whenever people are really happy, I get suspicious. I'm like, this is.
A little too Stepford wifey.
Like, yeah, like you're not really happy. You're just kind of doing the like actions of happy. So that made sense.
And the magic's back, but it's, you know, just party tricks and alcohol and marijuana. Yay!
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad party, but it's not what they want.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I have my note. Don't trust Todd. Yep. Then we also kind of jump, and I really enjoyed the storyline with Fen and Julia and the fairy in this one. And I called it, the fairies were slaves, and I wasn't here a couple weeks, so that was my theory early on. I was like, those fairies are slaves. Those things we don't see, it's fairies. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
But
and no Candace Kane this week, which was sad.
Yeah.
She's so amazing.
Hopefully she'll come back.
Yeah. But it's cool to see other fairies and like how they look and behavior, because then it really is like you can tell the species.
This world, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's very much like a structure to it. I mean, it's something of I really liked the dynamic between Sky and Fen, and just how like there's such a distrust there, but obviously Sky doesn't have any like evil intentions and isn't even aware. Yeah. So, and we talked a little bit last episode about like the just like the storyline of the fairies being enslaved and like what that means for like what they're doing actually in Fillory, and, like what their intentions are and how that kind of changes the dynamic of things, and how they kind of making it something where Sky isn't even really aware that she's a slave, and like how that kind of is like ties into like how people use actual slavery in real life, and so how people are just raised into it and believing that, you know, the things that are not in the best interest of them are normal.
Oh yeah, no, she's totally like she's brainwashed, and you like listening to her talk, you go, whoa, what happened? And then we learn what it was. I like though, then it does kind of interesting parallels. And side note, kind of rewind. Carmen in the chat pointed out interesting foreshadow when they do the smoke boat to the ship at the end flying essentially. I was like,
smoke
oh. When they're at the party, Quentin essentially takes the smoke and makes a boat, and it essentially flies through the air. And then we get the boat at the end flying through the air. And I was like, I didn't think of that. Good job, guys. Then, I love that you guys are getting a full discussion in the chat of possibilities with Julia, which we'll definitely get to.
It's kind of amazing. I can't concentrate because I'm reading all of this.
Yes.
You guys are very good. I'm like, there's what's happening. This is like so much stuff.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, when we have our full panel, it's a little bit easier because we can.
Because you can look
two people
over there.
Talking and then we'll.
I always like to point out that there's a board over there because be like, if you guys are like, what is she looking at? They're like that. We're getting with Julia. All right. Kyle says, now this guy's aware of her magic. I wonder how she'll face the woman who's been torturing her, even if that'll set Faye on fairies being evil or vengeful. So interesting. Oh, ABK88 is Julia like Khaleesi, breaker of chains. We'll get to that also because that's a good theory. So the conversation though with Fen and Julia of like the fairies are different here. So that's an interesting thing of like this group has done wrong to you, but this is a different branch of them, because it's totally understandable for Fen to not trust them and not really want to help you. Like, they've ruined my life in her eyes. Well, not ruined her life, but definitely destroyed a big part of her life. But I like Julia playing the devil's advocate of like, well, these ones are different. They're clearly not the same mindset. Because, I agree. Skye just doesn't seem to have any evil intention at all. Even if she figures out the magic. She wasn't like, yes, I have it back. And is like creepy. She just was like, she seems so innocent and pure. And so I'm kind of curious on like, are all fairies like that? Like, is our evil fairy queen more the evil fairy queen because we don't know her motives?
I don't think she's evil. And I've been kind of on that boat for a while. I was like, I don't really think she's evil. I just don't think we understand all of her intentions. And there's something about when you know that the fairies are enslaved in certain regions, there's something that makes sense of them wanting to kind of slowly infiltrate Fillory and basically create like a fairy army. Like, you kind of understand, okay,
I want to say something, but I can't.
Oh no!
So I was like, I should. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna say. That's I'm so nervous that I'm gonna say something, and then I'm gonna get like a text going, "What are you taught? You cannot say this."
Man,
continue. I'm just gonna listen, and I'm gonna be like, that's so interesting that you thought that.
I know. There was like a really cool moment when Joshua Butler was here where I said, "Oh yeah, they're totally snoring fairy dust." And he was just kind of sitting there and his head
What do you say?
He was like,
I know.
But you can tell he was like trying not to. And I was like, I know.
Well, that was it. I like that twist because I totally, it was right on the money of the fairies are slaves. But I didn't think that they were being broken down while they're alive and made into that.
I mean, we just found out this week that George Washington's teeth were from slaves, so it wasn't like mind blowing.
Wasn't that the wooden teeth thing?
Yeah, that they weren't wooden teeth, that they were actually the teeth of his slaves.
Oh, fun.
That he would extract and put in his mouth, and that's what his dentures were made of.
Fun.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Creepy.
So it wasn't that I mean,
it's not one of those oh my goodness, shocking, but it is one of those like, oh, this goes darker. And I was thinking, I'm like, so wait, is our fairy queen exactly raising the army so that she can go back to Earth and rescue them? But are there other enslaved fairy groups? Because we don't really know that yet, right? We just know about this group.
We don't know if that's like a bigger thing because we haven't touched like on all parts of the universe essentially.
That's true.
But they're kind of setting it up where we're going to eventually, I think, see like the full span of like the magic within the universe. So I hope we get there soon.
Yeah.
I like gods.
Nas in the chat, another one. I wonder if librarians in the underworld can use magic. Maybe Penny can get some fairy dust and F some shit up. I was like, they swear on the show, they fuck some shit up. What do we have? Oh yeah. So, Fillory, we get the little quick thing with the wombat combat, which...
I mean, Tick is so precious.
Yes. We talked about the other episode, and please tell us how that was, of how he's so genuine with the mansplaining.
I think he just takes things literally. Like and I love that. And what's interesting to me is that a lot of even the comedy that I did before the show, because, you know, as it is in this world before doing stuff with accents and stuff, there's this like thing of not understanding the language, you know, so you're like doing it and you're like, oh, and that's where the sort of that humor came. And right now in Fillory, even though I'm doing like, you know, I'm not doing accent, there's still this thing of this lack of like understanding of the world, right? That Elliot and Margot are from. So they use these words and then I use them back at them, and so that whole thing with them, I just thought, I mean, the writers are brilliant, and it's that kind of comedy that I think works really well, and it just, I don't know, it's been fun.
Oh yeah, the mansplaining line, I loved it because you're like, I'm a man and I'm explaining it. Like literally, you're like, that makes sense.
That's it makes sense, and it kind of that's kind of the humor you would find more, I think. Generationally often, like if I use, I can't even think of I know I get caught off guard when people use new terms with me because I'm not that old, but I'm getting to a point where new terminology is like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, SMH, because I'm not used to speaking in that way.
In the abbreviation.
For the longest time, I didn't know what that was.
I thought
is it send me to? Is it send me?
SMA? I shake my head.
See, all the time, I still don't know what it is. I was like, is it send me to hell? Is it, what is it?
No, and so I thought it was like people going like, okay. I thought it was like a noise.
So the chat does not really trust Tick. In terms of, do you think his misunderstandings was he playing, you know, the clueless of the words on purpose? And with the wombat, was that also on purpose?
You know, I think I'm going to answer this very broadly, like also with the Fairy Queen. And, you know, I think everybody has their... It's when you said she's not evil. I think with everything that's happening in the show, you can see both sides of the story, right? So I don't know how to answer that question. There is something of like, you know, at the end of the show, you realize when Tick says that about what was going on. And when I read it, I felt for Tick. Right? Like this is a hard thing to deal with. So there's, you know. But I mean, maybe he was a little bit smarter than everybody thought he was. Until this point.
Originally, when the Pickwick family was introduced in season 2, that they were considered like a royal family.
I thought they were too.
It made sense for Tick to be like pissed off that these people.
And that was the thing. And then like, I think when I was here last time when we started season 2, and how I had read it when I went into the audition, and they were and what I thought about this, because I knew they had said this is the character, and even like right at the beginning of this season, Tick was doing a lot, like for the way that Margot and Elliot were like, you know, like essentially almost like servitude, you know, what they were. And so you could see it sort of like, if he was actually a royal person who was running this, running Fillory, and all of a sudden to be treated like that, he kind of was like, I am done with this. I am done with this.
Yeah, because his position would be great as an advisor to help them, but no, it was much more like you're our personal assistant.
See, I feel for Tick too.
And then, quick little side detour of learning more. There's ABK 88. They said there was a parallel to colonization, and that's something that I think, I would agree that the show does a really good job of showing. That's what the word I was looking for, parallels to like the fairy enslavement to real life enslavement. And so the show does a really good job of having that kind of commentary that sometimes I think flies over people's heads, and then for other people, I'm like, oh, I know what you're talking about there. Oh, I can catch that. And so I always appreciate that they touch upon those topics very subtly. And I watched a couple episodes together, so if this was last, please forgive me. But when Faye and Julia are talking, and they're kind of like talking about slavery, and then Fenn's just not really getting it. And then she's like, don't you guys have that in Fillory? And then she's like, yeah, but this is different or something like that. And Julia kind of going, no, slavery anyway is bad. Like, we need to not have this. So that one, it was more outright. But it's great that this show does parallels and does make it topics easy to understand, because then you're like, okay, cool, I get that. Sorry, quick side note. So, of learning more information, there's this podcast we want to let you guys all know about. So if you want to have fun, learn, grow in all areas of your life. So see, we need to learn more. Pickwick could have helped them out in different ways, and they didn't tap into that. So for those of you who do, we've got a podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition, is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder, Maria Menounos, and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life, from health and wellness to career and relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you never had. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. And be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us who sent you there. So the Magicians After Show sent you there. Conversation with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. Check it out. It's on Fridays. So she does lots of awesome podcasts. Yes, that's where we are. Elliot, Margot, and Tick. The Ways to Die. Was any of that improvised?
I wish I could say it was.
Okay.
But the writers, as I said, I mean, there's no reason to improvise that.
Yeah.
They've written the most amazing stuff. And I remember shooting that scene, and there's this delivery that Tick always, doesn't matter what news he's giving, it's always like giving it up like it's the worst news, and he's so positive.
happy.
And I was doing that, and I think I got a note saying, you know what, we don't want to ruin what's coming, so maybe you can be kind of like maybe this is about, and I said, I don't know, maybe that'll give it away, because Tick doesn't matter what it is, it's always that
positive
thing. So I think that they ended up using the one where it's still like, I have some, you're free to choose your
death,
right.
Yeah.
So and I think I love playing this character, and I love that the fact that he's just.
Well, he goes kind of a darker tone when they choose their death, and then it's like tonal shift.
Yes.
That's when it's like, bye, and see y'all later. Well, because I thought it was weird how Elliot and Margot were talking about it, because then I'm like, so do they really not buy into this at all, and they're trying to make this some inside joke? I'm like, you guys are not taking this seriously.
That you didn't think that they thought it was that.
Yeah, like Elliot's like, yeah, we'll take this, and like, guess we made the right decision. I'm like,
I think they thought that Tick was still
messing with them
on their side.
Okay.
And so it was something of like, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Then that's the one that says eternal, then let's do that. And
And Tick's gotten them out of stuff before the
yes.
chicken box.
Yeah.
So he's
and
helped them.
getting the eye back and all that kind of stuff. But
So Will in the chat, which we'll get to this, we're about to get to that moment. So this is funny because in Narnia, they always made it seem like little English children are entitled to run Narnia. So we get to that later. Yeah, we'll just jump to that part. Where did it go? Oh, yes. So then the last bit with Elliot, Margot, and Pick. So clearly he's not helping. I like the betrayal. I don't know if I was surprised, but I'm like, it was a good twist.
There was a lot of people who were surprised on Twitter, and I got a lot of. I actually put on. I think I tweeted. I said, "I'm a little scared to go outside in public right now."
Oh, no.
People are like, "I want Pickwick's head on a stick,"
Oh, no.
and I even saw somebody right now. Right, I think it was Naz. Like,
Oh, no.
your betrayal will not be.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no.
It makes sense though. It's not like the Pickwick family has been,
Not like
treated with kindness. Not
or respect,
really,
or
respect.
anything.
Like poor Benedict's like dead now and in the underworld. And
He wants his kingdom back.
alone.
See,
Brianna goes, I was surprised.
Aw,
Yeah.
poor.
Yes.
Thank you.
People are like, I'm angry.
Naz.
I'm over it now. Yeah. Well, kind of back to our earlier discussion of slavery. So then we also kind of essentially have colonization, because it's like there's the thing when he's talking to the Moonjack.
The Munchak?
Munchak. There we go. Everyone's like,
You're like
how do you
Summer.
say it?
Oh my, Summer could not. I mean,
Yeah.
there was like, she could not say that in the name of that boat.
It's
Be like, I apologize, boat. I'm
see it,
sorry.
and you're like, how do I?
Yes.
I can see it.
Yes.
But how do I say it? Yeah.
Oh, Renji goes, I was more surprised thinking that for the boat betraying them than the tick's betrayal.
I didn't think for a second the boat was gonna betray them. Like I was like, no, the boat's.
Well, he was
Quiet.
mean to the boat first time we get introduced to the boat. So
Tick.
Yeah.
That was
Saying that the boat was like a couldn't figure out.
Stitch.
stupid. Yeah.
An asshole.
The boat
There
was
you
an
go.
ass
That was
stitch.
so good.
Yeah.
That's another one of those things. Was it malaprops? Like
Yeah.
I love it in the show. It's just such a good. The writers with this is so.
Is it hard for you not to laugh when?
It's sometimes hard. That day that we were at the boat.
Yeah.
There was so much other stuff going on. I don't remember, but I was in the Pacific. I was in the ocean.
It's like you actually go in the water.
I
yeah?
actually went in the
Yeah.
water, and it was freezing. We're in Vancouver.
no.
It's freezing cold, and I was like, "Hey, I'll just say your lines. I need to get out of this water. Say it. Just say your lines." Hale is the most
man.
amazing. He's so fun to act with.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was other things going on that day.
Yeah,
Laughing
yeah.
was not happening. I was just like, "Get me out
Yeah.
of this."
Oh, man.
No, I couldn't even.
Yeah.
I've gone buggy boarding in the Pacific when I definitely should not have been going buggy boarding. And I was like, I can't feel my toes anymore.
Yeah, wetsuits all the way.
Like,
Yeah, Nehemiah says Rizwan does a good job as Tick.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're so fun to watch on because the
Yeah.
character is like, it's so funny that it is sad of like, oh no, but I don't feel, it's sad that it's a betrayal, but you totally understand it because, yeah, then, so I was saying that the colonization, because he gets to the line that was like, oh, the free fillery and make it of, for, and by Florians like us, because it's this foreign rule and it's like what makes you guys think you have the right to rule. And then also the line too, later that I thought it was interesting the writers had it in because it's a later discussion, but Margot and Ellie are like, we're trying to make it better, and that's often the thought process of people going into an area and we're like, we're gonna make it better. And sometimes those intentions probably are good and pure, but other times it is that superiority going in, and then it's like, ooh, maybe not.
I see this. That was my worry too.
What?
Will we see Tick again this season?
well, you made it out alive.
I can't
He's
answer
like,
that,
I can't
but
say anything.
I have to say that.
I don't think it's
what
impossible.
happens once you try to kill the two main characters
Well,
of
at
the
least
show?
now we know, like, for the magicians, there's no real death anymore because now we can go into the underworld. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
always
That
a chance
is
you can
true.
see
Yeah.
a character again,
Yeah.
even if they die. No, yeah, I think in terms of the colonization parallels, it's something where usually when colonization happens, it's because the particular people that are being colonized have a certain good that the colonizers want, and so that's I don't even think it's necessarily like, oh, we want to help you. That might be how we view it now.
Oh yeah, true.
But it was often more of like, what did Fillory had that no other place had? It was like, well,
But it would be interesting
Magic.
to know what you thought about Elliot and Margot. Like, do you think that they're out to get something from Fillory, or they're actually trying to like? It is a different thing, right?
Yeah.
Because then you have the other way, which is this. Which is also as this nationalization where you're like, we want everything to be Fillory, like it's all like we want it to be back the way that it was.
Yeah.
So that's also problematic. So I wonder what you guys think in that political nature about what Elliot and Margot.
I think it's something where it's like, at a certain point, you don't. It's okay. So at a certain point, it's kind of like with like Standing Rock. So we are so far along in our American way of life that like holding certain type of traditions for people, like I think the way that we often treat like Native Americans is like reservations are reservations are a courtesy, whereas they are actually sacred land that we have agreed not to touch, that are not even a part of America. And so and that's something that you kind of, after a while, I think when you are a part of a society that has been created by colonizers, that's for you Black Panther fans, like you end up kind of just assuming that that's just the way things are supposed to be and that's how everything's supposed to go, and so you see that in countries where they've been under a type of colonial rule for so long that's just how they assume the way of life is, and people who come in who are from, like, if Earth is the colonizers of Fillory, then Margot and Elliot are just going in with that mindset, assuming that, well, this is just how things are, and we're going to make things better because that's the whole point of us coming to Earth. And even their introduction of having Martin as, like, the ruler and him turning bad, they're like, oh, okay, well, this place needs us. Versus thinking, well, maybe they don't need you, maybe they never needed you, and maybe they'd be better off without you. And so that's kind of like that mindset of you're into the habit of thinking that your way of life is right, that you don't consider that the way of life that the people had before you was right as well. So totally. I think Margot and Elliot, since they stayed too, went in because they love Fillory. But with the wanting to change it is maybe where they went astray of, like, wanting to make it better. But the question is, like, could they have actually helped Fillory on Fillory's terms, or are they making it better or fixing it to more, like, from an Earth viewpoint, which we don't really get to see because they don't really get long enough to actually and they don't really know enough about Fillory. Like, they also
like
only
real
know,
Fillory.
Yeah, they also only know of Fillory from the point of view of the books written by this man who was told by these English children of Earth what they thought of Fillory when they visited it. So at this point, it's like, just talk about Black Panther again. It's like when, I mean, obviously Wakanda is a fictional country in Africa. It's not an actual country. And obviously there are countries in Africa that are built up. I think a lot of times when we think of Africa, especially outside of Africa, we think that, oh, okay, well, it's a third world country and it's underdeveloped, and that's not the case. Like, there are full-on cities in Africa.
There's multiple countries.
There's multiple countries in Africa.
Because people are like, Africa is one thing, and you're like,
no. And so there's African countries, and they have their cities within them, and industrialization and all that kind of stuff. But, sometimes I think people think, well, what would have happened if Africa had never been touched? Like, there was already math and science created in Africa. There was already advancements in Africa that were stolen by the people who went in and colonized it. So that's something that it's kind of like, what would Fillory have been, and especially being a land of magic, if Earth had never touched it?
South America, too.
Yeah.
Spanish invaders.
Pretty much. Yeah. Every place on Earth.
Yeah. Pretty much all. Some Asian countries, though, were able to stay out of it.
Well, that's
for
a perfect
while.
example.
Yeah. Well, because Japan was an island.
Allowed to.
Is an island, sorry. And they were able to keep people out for a long time because it's an island. So, did we answer your question?
I think so. Okay. I don't remember what my question was. So I'm going to just say yes.
I think that speaks to the show of it's not just, Adrian going deep on magicians. It's great because that's the show. The show is not just like, ooh, like cutesy wootsy magic fluff, it's like no, there's a lot of layers to this show. I mean, we've had different topics covered on this show, from everything. Actually, that was a thing we did. It's not really a big moment, but it stood out. Maybe it was on another episode. But when Alice and Julia are talking about the magic left over from Renard, and then she's like, no, this is not magic, it's just when you've had like a trauma, it stays with you. And it's like, oh, that right there is a deep moment, because you're like, oh, that's true for many people who've had any sort of trauma happen to them.
Yeah, I think the way they touched on, and I talked about that earlier in the season, I was like, I appreciate that when Julia finally got Renard versus being like, okay, and she's like, now he's gone and his mother's taking care of it and whatever, it's done. They didn't just have her be like, and I'm okay, because you see that a lot in TV shows where somebody goes through a traumatic event and then I said this and then after it happens, after 2 or 3 episodes, they don't really talk about it again until 5 years later when it happens to someone else, and they go, well, this happened to me too, and we don't really see what it's like for people to go through PTSD and how they recover from it. So using the fact that she now has, she's got a double whammy, because it was rape and then an abortion from that rape, and now having to live with essentially a part of Reynard that was given to her by Persephone. that's kind of like what happens to rape victims, where it's like, well, there's a part of me that's been taken away that's now replaced with this thing, and I have to live with it, and I have to figure out how I go on with my life with it. So yeah, I appreciate those. Like it's easy to watch a show and just like not think about any of that. And I appreciate that, because some people don't want to think about it. I get it. But then also there's other people who are like, oh, but this means this and this and this and this and this.
Well, she builds upon that, because then she has that's something I have to live with, and it's going to take time.
Yeah, it takes
and you're
time.
like, thank you. It's very realistic. Actually, speaking a little bit more with Julia, when she is trying to help Sky, and then testing out the powers, and we get Julia, her glowing eyes, and is able to do magic without her hands. So as she said, she's leveled up, which is pretty exciting. And
I mean, it's just I don't really play Dungeons and Dragons, but isn't this whole season like an entire Dungeons and Dragons?
Essentially, it's a quest.
Like they level up. And all
Sarah
kind of
says,
stuff.
I love when she said, I think she just leveled up.
Wow.
Yeah. Something with her too is she kind of points out though too with the magic, when helping others is when she feels the best using it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of great, because they talk about how much magic can affect you positively and negatively. So it's kind of cool that this magic in helping people is even better.
It's like it's God magic, so it can be used for, I don't know, it's a Star Wars reference. It's like the Force. So if you use the Force correctly, then like you get to have more power with it. If you don't use it correctly, then eventually your son's gonna come and kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, or almost kill you.
Do we think? The necklace, that was pretty cool. With that Sky has a necklace. Does I'm sorry I didn't get to look it up, but does the Fairy Queen in Fillory have a necklace on? I didn't think.
No,
she did. It's just
that necklace is just like a chain.
Yeah.
So basically,
well, it's very Battle Royale.
What she was carrying was, on her neck was Margot's eye for the longest time.
Yeah. No, I think what Sky has is like basically a chain.
It's a Battle Royale collar. You go past the wrong spot, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So do the wrong thing, you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's the dog collar that zaps you to death.
I think it's. Did we? I mean, okay. So I know this is, the books and everything, and I've heard a little bit more in advance too, talking with them at Comic-Con, but do we think Julia is going the direction of being a demigoddess or a goddess? Or just a strong magician?
Well, demigoddess, she would have to be a demigoddess because she's part human.
That's a good point.
But, my thought on that was always that it seems like it's being set up for her to be kind of I always just assume that people are gonna she's gonna be like, the good goddess, the good magician, and that they're kind of setting up Alice to kind of turn evil. Because I honestly think that's the one thing I like about Star Wars is that they kind of get that's how we like to tell stories. People rise up into the occasion to become good. And up until beginning of season 2 or middle of season 2, Julia could have easily turned bad. And they toyed with that of taking away her shade and everything. And up until middle of season 2, Alice was just kind of the goody-goody and pure. And so to kind of flip it and see them kind of toy with the darkness and the goodness within both of them. Yeah. I just assume that the show's going to end with Julia and Alice going head to head and everyone else being in their wake. No?
Yeah, we've said that. No, we've said that before. We thought so too.
I just think that'd be really cool because
we want to see a showdown with them. Yes,
and you don't get to see women do that a lot on television, where it's they end up having all the power. And that's we talked about that. I was like, I haven't checked the YouTube comments because I'm like, people are giving me so much crap about this, but how part of the story for Q is giving up some of his inherent privilege. So he doesn't. There's normally he would be the hero of the story.
Well, he always kept thinking he was the chosen child to do this everything, and you're like, calm down.
And people are like, he's bisexual. I'm like, okay, he's had bisexual moments, but I think for majority of his life he lived this world as a straight gender white man, here we go.
Yeah.
Someone's like, oh my fucking God.
No, yeah.
But anyways, that's a whole nother thing. I was just saying, like, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of an interesting, that's just an interesting thing to touch on. That this would have normally have been his story. And for the first 39 tries, it was his story. It was him, like, taking on the beast. Yeah. And in that switch of giving it to Alice, and in the moment of kicking Julia out of Break Bills, it became a story about like these two women, because the people who were affected the most in this particular time loop were them.
That's true.
And so it's kind of
most everybody else has kind of been.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that kind of flip on that the script in that way. And so I think that's intentional. Who's coming at me? Okay.
No, you're all good.
So yeah, I appreciate that they kind of always. I know Quentin is sexually fluid, you guys. Okay, jeez Louise, I'm not going down this rabbit hole.
We don't have enough
with you again.
examples to really solidify that yet.
We have 2 moments of him with Elliot exclusively that we know of, and so that's why I was like, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I'm not going to give him the full bisexual card because a lot of people, I mean, hell, ask me about some things that I did in college, okay? And ask me some things now. Like, it's kind of like, well, sure, I could be sexually fluid, or I could just be, you know.
Those times.
Those times. So that's something that I think is, and I hope they explore that more with Quentin. I'm not saying that I don't want to see more of that. I'm just saying, like, more. The dynamics of privilege that they touch on is kind of, it's nice to see.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've wanted more from some of the side characters, and we're getting a little bit here and there. Wrapping up, the other thing with Josh, Alice, and Q is we figure out that Todd has the key, and that he technically is not Todd. He's a German demon that's a Traumesser. I wrote down like a It's like I thought it was like
I thought it was a charm mess.
I thought it was with the T. Wow.
It's
a German demon.
Knows the exact words.
Let me get my script.
You're like, hold on.
I'll let you know. No.
Traumesser.
Elliot sexual. I like that. He's Elliot sexual.
Yeah. Who wouldn't be?
Exactly.
But I thought that was a cool little demon reveal at the end. And question with that, because the demon says, which I like the look of that actor. He goes, he said you would come, but we don't know who that he is. Do you have any theories?
I assume it's the Magnificent Cock.
Okay.
Episode 1. I would assume he's part of it.
Sure.
He put them on the journey.
Yeah.
So this everyone knows like something about. It's kind of like with the first season where we had the Dean and the Chapman girl. Jane. Constantly talking about things like they knew more than everyone else. And I was like, why do they keep sounding like they know what's going on, even though they're not supposed to? And I kind of get that feeling from the Cock at the beginning of the season, and then also from the librarians, because they knew about the quest of the 7 keys. Yeah. And that's what they wanted from Julia.
Sorry, real quick. Charlie in chat, thank you. Traumesser means dream eater, which makes sense. Okay. Traumesser.
It sounded like
it's my bad American trying to say German accent. Thank you for that. I like the theory that it's the Cock, but I was kind of thinking it might be something else. I don't really know, but it made me very curious. So what do you all think? Leave comments down below. Who is the he that the demon talks about?
Beast. That would.
I don't think it's a beast.
I hope not.
I thought it was maybe some other god that we haven't seen, some other big power play. Are you sitting there smiling because you know? Yeah, he's like,
I'm like, oh my god, so good. I'm like reading. It's so funny.
You know, it could be a Titan, it could be Zeus. Let's go all the Greek gods.
And then the last little thing that happens is they all have to unify together, and so they do the song Under Pressure, which was so fun to watch. Yeah. And it's like, yay, all of them coming together.
I like that they talked about the fact that we hadn't seen Josh. And
that's so great. If you ignored him. Yeah.
It didn't occur to me until this episode that I was like, wait, when is the last time we saw Josh? I was like, oh, okay. It's kind of funny because just as
I thought the Bacchus party was the last time we saw him.
It was.
Yeah.
And that was what, episode 2?
That was a while ago.
Episode 3?
Yep.
So.
It is a good example of, you know, those friends you have, and then they're just like, oh, yeah, we've been busy. So it's. Yeah. I like them all coming together because we've all talked
those
about
friends get downgraded, yo. Really no friend.
And yeah, Josh is such a nice, great character, and it's like, but that happens in life, and so I like that they address that.
What is it like working with? I blanking on the man who plays Josh, but
Trevor Einhorn.
Trevor, yes.
He's so funny.
Because you guys had a
so
whole
we had
track
last season. I didn't get to work with him this season, really. He's so funny.
Yeah.
And that was, I just worked with him that one episode that...
When you all got high together.
Yeah. When we and me, Benedict, and and him. He's the thing with the whole cast is just such a... I still like myself. There's such a great cast, and also, I mean, and Marlee Matlin's in the show. She's an Oscar winner. I keep saying, I'm like, there's an Oscar winner on the show. And I love her. So there's like cool people.
I realized we didn't talk much about Penny because Penny was not really in this episode as much. Stuck at the library, but I want to see where that goes.
He's so.
He's great. Yeah. We've talked.
I want to work. I've done. I think we've exchanged one line. That's what we've done in the entire show.
He's like just
when he was doing it that day, right when he died, and he came to Fillory, and I was like, oh, he's not dead already. I thought he was already dead.
Yeah.
That was the only thing in the same room that we had.
Any other fun stories you can share from this season? Because we're pretty much at the end of wrapping up the episode. Any fun stuff?
Fun stuff. Well,
somebody had asked. Share.
Somebody asked if I'm. I think I can share that I am going to be back. That wasn't my last episode. Somebody asked, "Will you be back?" You will see me this season.
Well, IMDb, they can go look how many episodes
I don't know if
you're
it's even there, but I will be back this season. And yes, I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble, but there is some really like fun stuff and some really like important, you know what I mean? Like what you're saying and what you guys were talking about and how it parallels to the political situation. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that's coming up. And I'm so excited about it because last season I was there, but this season I feel like I got to do a whole bunch of fun stuff, including falling in jumping into the ocean and falling off of a ship.
What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene,
unless it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Well,
true.
From what has happened is actually the scene where I got to turn this episode. It just was something that, because it was just. I feel like was waiting to happen, and then I got to do it, and it was, and the way that they even did it with the boat and like all that stuff. I really loved it.
It's always fun to turn evil, I think, for actors. If you've been playing a character up to a certain point, and you finally get to be like, ulterior motive.
Also, I like the mansplaining scene. I now have it in my demo reel because it's just so it's like the first scene because it's such a fun scene and like when it's like to see it's.
I think we talk about it at least once in an episode. Like we always bring up a reason to bring up the mansplaining.
Or we're saying you can woman-splain it to me. To you. Oh, even in that episode, I think she's like, there's so many things like. I think she says ovary uptick, which I think is a really funny, like it's like that's what Margot would say. And takes it like that's
he goes,
okay, I will do that.
Guys, go home and Google how ovaries work. They're amazing. Just real talk. But yeah, no, I think it's always a pleasure to see Tech, and so it's like it's like so much fun, and
we're happy to see more of your character this season because this character's just adorable of the genuine honesty like Ty's talked about it of just like you can't dislike him even though he says some horrible things because you're like but he's just
and you know what
over his head.
And what I love about it is that now it's like there was worry right like oh what happens now like I said now that he's done this but that's what I'm excited about now because now what actually does happen now with him. Maybe not even at this season, but like next season. What happens with him? Because now he can't do that anymore. You can't. You've done it. You can't take it back. So now what happens? That's what.
I mean, you sent them to their death, but you didn't kill them.
I mean, it's like a whole nother like layer and journey for the character, which I always appreciate when we get to. I think the show does a really good job of letting characters grow and change. It's not like Friends where basically the only person who changed was really Joey who got dumber for some reason from season 1 to season 10. So it's nice to see that people have levels.
That's my favorite thing about Multicam. It's like the dumb characters just become not functional human. Like I think of Chrissy Snow, how she was in the. Anyway, that's a whole. Can we do another podcast about that?
Any other funny behind the scenes moments you want to share, or anything like that was fun to do on this season compared to last season?
you know, as I said, with the behind the scenes stuff, with the whole, you know, jumping into the to the ocean, that was kind of crazy stuff with me and Hale. God, let me think. There was.
Is he that much taller?
He is
I know
so
he's tall because in that
very
scene
tall.
where you're
and
like,
I'm very
you're
short.
like,
I don't know if people can tell, but I'm very short and he's very tall. So, and so, you know, and so me and Summer are very short, and we have Hale.
I walked past him once, like on the street, and I was like, wow, he's tall.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything because I want to be like, hey.
Yeah.
Like, do you watch this podcast? Listen to this podcast?
Yeah. Well, okay. If I think of something, I will send you.
And anything you're working on right now? Because I mean, Magicians is wrapped, but anything you can share that you're working on right now?
I don't even know if I'm allowed to share it, but a new show with Rob Riggle.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Crackle. That's what I'm doing.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Great.
it should be out soon, and it's fun.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us in the chat. I was just like scrolling through real quick. And thank you so much for joining us and talking about.
Thank you for having me. I hope I wasn't so like reading this monitor and then like not answering things because I didn't want to get in trouble. But.
No, it is hard of like you don't want to get ahead of yourself, and then it's like you have to. We've totally teased our guests of like the poker face you need to have of the questions.
Oh yeah.
Or the looking down.
Yeah. Or drinking stuff that was finished like so long ago, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm drinking.
You're doing your own meme. It's like, yes.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Great. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and joining us in the live chat. And if you didn't watch this live, no worries at all. Please comment down below your thoughts on the episode and any of the things we talked about. And again, thanks you so much for joining us, Rizwan.
I'm still reading this. Thank you, guys. That's making me laugh.
And so, Adrian, where can people find you online?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. It's MSADRIANSNOW.
And then where can they find you online?
Instagram at Rizwan Manji, RIZWANMANJI, and at Riz_Manji, MANJI on Twitter.
Yay! And my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. Thank you so much for joining us for the Magicians After Show, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only, do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.